Welcome to Easy A Homeschool Academy. Today, we will learn about an important river civilization from a long time ago. A civilization is a place where people live, work, play, and learn together. The civilization we will learn about today is called Mesopotamia. The word Mesopotamia means between two rivers in the Greek language, so this civilization was named after its location between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in what is modern-day Southwest Asia. Early civilizations like Mesopotamia had unique governments, economic systems, social structures, religions, technologies, and agriculture. Mesopotamia grew because of good geographic features. River valleys provided sources of water, habitats for plants and animals, ways of transportation, protection from invasions, and access to natural resources. When you study the history of early civilizations, you will see that historians refer to the area indicated on the map as the cradle of civilization. It is given this name because many great civilizations existed in this region. Around 8000 BCE, there was a shift in human activity and practices. Farming and herding was developed in this region called the Fertile Crescent, which was a big change from the usual hunting and gathering practices. As a result, humans could settle in permanent villages and produce a surplus of food. They grew foods like barley, wheat, beans, peas, lentils, cucumbers, leeks, lettuce, and garlic. They also grew fruits like grapes, melons, apples, and figs. They also learned how to care for herding animals like sheep, cows, pigs, donkeys, and oxen. With a surplus of food, people could focus on developing the skills needed for civilization. Some people became priests, scribes, merchants, artists, teachers, and government officials. They began to build cities and establish empires. The area of Mesopotamia, or modern-day Iraq, was within the Fertile Crescent, and many great empires and cities arose in this region. As we discuss the various empires that were located in this region, we will focus on the 8 features of a civilization. The 8 features of a civilization include cities, organized central governments, complex religions, job specification, social classes, arts and architecture, public works, and writing. Early peoples developed unique civilizations. Several civilizations established empires with legacies influencing later peoples. The first city-state we will discuss is the Sumerian city-states that existed in this region from 4000 BCE to 2000 BCE. The Sumerians lived in independent, walled city-states. The climate was very dry. There was very little natural vegetation, and palm trees were some of the only trees that grew there. The rivers flooded in the spring and deposited a rich layer of silt on the surrounding floodplain. This silt provided fertilizer for growing crops. Sumerian farmers built large irrigation systems of canals and dams. Before long, the desert was blooming with a surplus of crops. They were also the first people to use the plow to lift the silt-rich soil off their crop fields. Before the development of agriculture, the land of Mesopotamia did not have many natural resources, so they had to trade to get the items they needed. Docks were built along the sides of the rivers so that ships could unload their trade goods. The merchants traded food, clothing, jewelry, wine, and other goods between the cities. To buy or trade these goods, Sumerians used a system of barter. They used barley for local trade, and for trade away from the local area, they used lead, copper, bronze, tin, silver, and gold. According to historians, the Sumerians built the first cities and established the first monarchies. The city was ruled by the gods through the king, who exercised divine authority. The people believed that their king was related to their gods. They had a specific governmental structure. Under the king were priests who surveyed land, ran the irrigation system, and distributed the harvest. Because of the surplus of grain, the government would grow in size to support other officials and priests. It could also pay thousands of workers with barley while they were building canals, city walls, ziggurats, or while they were fighting to defend their city-state. Technological advancements happened in other areas as well. Sumerians learned to build with clay bricks made from mud and were skilled metal workers. They also invented the wheel around 3500 BCE and the sailboat and created the first lunar calendar. Sumerians were polytheistic, which means they believed in many gods. They believed in as many as 3,000 to 4,000 gods. Ziggurats were believed to be dwelling places for the gods. Each city had its own god. Only the priests were allowed inside the ziggurat. It was their responsibility to care for the needs of the gods. As the government and economy grew, officials and merchants needed a writing system to record information. Developed between 3500 BCE and 3000 BCE, the writing system called cuneiform consisted of wedged-shaped characters. Sumerians wrote on clay tablets using a reed pen called a stylus. The second city-state we will discuss is the Babylonian Empire, which existed from 1792 BCE to 1595 BCE. As many Sumerian city-states grew weak from outside invasions and military conflict, the city-state of Babylon took over and established an empire in Mesopotamia. Babylonian rulers constructed temples, roads, and an extensive canal system. They also organized laws. Nebuchadnezzar built the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, one of the 7 wonders of the world. Babylon received little rain, and there were few stone slabs needed to hold terraces in place in the region. Engineers devised a chain pump that brought water from the Euphratesriver to irrigate the gardens. The gardens were a lush mountain of vegetation in the middle of a flat, dry desert. Hammurabi came to power in 1792 BCE and is the best known of all Mesopotamian kings. As he conquered city-states and his empire grew, he wanted one set of laws for all the diverse peoples he conquered. He sent legal experts throughout his kingdom to gather existing laws. Some were changed or removed before compiling the final list of 282 laws, known as the Code of Hammurabi. The phrase "an eye for an eye" represents what many people view as a harsh sense of justice based on revenge. The entire code, however, is much more complex than one phrase. The code outlines rules for witnesses and those making accusations of crimes. It details how theft or destruction of property should be handled and gives guidelines for dealing with trade and business problems. The code also gives rules for family matters such as marriage, divorce, and adoption. Payment amounts for the work of doctors and other professionals are outlined. The code also covers all types of issues related to farming and the herding of animals. The third city-state we will discuss is the Assyrian Empire, which existed from 1365 BCE to 609 BCE. Assyria was located in the middle and northern part of Mesopotamia. While Babylonians are best remembered for their contributions in literature, architecture, and the law, Assyria is remembered for its military strength, advances in weapons, and conquests. In its time, the Assyrian Empire was the greatest the world had ever seen. Their armies were highly trained and professional, and their troops had a great deal of experience in battle. Syrian armies used movable towers and iron-heated battering rams for sieges on walled towns. Soldiers used iron weapons which were much stronger than the bronze weapons of some of their foes. The Assyrians also built roads for quick and easy movement of troops so that conquered rebelling kingdoms could easily be brought back under control. With the wealth they obtained, the Assyrian kings built well-fortified and beautiful cities. In these cities, they placed their grand palaces, some of which spanned several acres. The first glass-making, the invention of backgammon, the early version of the lock and key, even the massage, are believed to be Assyrian inventions. Mesopotamia existed more than 8,000 years ago. It lasted for thousands of years. The developments made by the people influenced many more civilizations that came after them. Archaeologists are still learning about the ways of life of the people from this time through writings and artifacts they left behind. I hope you learned something about Mesopotamia today. Thanks for taking this learning journey with me. Until next time. As always, thank you for watching. Tell us what you want to see next. Email ezahomeschoolacademy@yahoo.com. Like and share our videos. Please subscribe to our channel.